Welcome to episode 155 of Explode Your Expert Business Show, brought to you by gtex.org.uk. I'm your host, Simone Vincenzi, the Expert Strategist, and this is the podcast for experts who want to become the ultimate authority in their niche while making an impact in the world. And today I have the pleasure to interview Michelle Dale on how to work anywhere, live anywhere, and find happiness using an online product and service business. But before I tell you about what we are going to cover today, it's time to mention the tool of the day. I share these tools every now and then randomly at the beginning of our podcast, and these are some tools that make the difference in my life and my business. And today I want to share with you the most amazing meditation app that I found on App Store, whether it's iOS or Google Play. You can find, it's called Insight Timer. Insight Timer is completely free, as thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of free meditations, depending of length, style, guided music, is absolutely brilliant. And also I have a great tool to help you keep you accountable, counting every single day that you've been meditating in a row. I'm using it regularly, and it makes a difference, a massive difference in the way I start my day. So it's called Insight Timer. Make sure that you check it out so you can be more focused. Again, this is there is no affiliation, not earning any commission if you decide to download it. It's just something that makes a difference for me, so I'm sure maybe it will make the difference for you as well. Now, back to the show. Today, as I said, I have the pleasure to interview Michelle Dale. And Michelle is the founder of Virtual Miss Friday, an online business consultancy and academy, creator of One Sourcing, a service that specializes in serving 6- and 7-figure businesses. And she left the UK in 2005, and at 23 has grown a successful location independent online service and digital product business, traveling and living abroad full time. I think this is one of the best interviews that we have done. Michelle is absolutely hilarious, very personal. It was a great chat on top of the golden nuggets that she revealed. And in fact, in this episode, we talked about understanding what location independence can mean for you and your family, the importance of acting on intuition, and also, if you're starting an online business, choosing what path is right for you, whether it's a product, service, or both, depending on your personal goal and lifestyle goals. You can read the full transcript on the interview and get the bonus resources at www.gtex.org.uk/155. Now, if you want to make 6-figure presentation and become awesome at selling from the stage without compromising your integrity, I've created the ultimate selling from the stage checklist, which is the most comprehensive checklist to help you create a pitch that sells without using sleazy or manipulative technique. Generally, almost every speech I go to and every event I go to, I'm one of the speakers that sells the most. There is a reason why. Is in the checklist, so make sure you download it right now. And as well, if you find that this journey as being an expert is lonely, isolating, and you want to connect with like-minded people, and on top of that, get incredible exclusive training like I did recently on how to get on Forbes and how to become a Forbes contributor or to get featured on Forbes. That was a free training that I delivered inside our Facebook group, which is Explode Your Expert Biz. You can find it on Facebook at Explode Your Expert Biz, or you can click the link that you will find in the show notes. Now, if you haven't subscribed to the show, what the heck are you waiting for? Subscribe right now. Without further ado, it's time to start the show. Let's hear it from Michelle Dale. How to work anywhere, live anywhere, and find happiness using an online product or service business. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Explode Your Expert Biz Show. And today we are here with the one and only Michelle Dale. How you doing, Michelle?
I'm doing so good. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm so excited about this interview.
Beautiful blue background. If you're blue is my favorite color, guys. So if you are listening to the podcast, you can jump on YouTube or on the blog post and you can see the video. But otherwise, you can see the beautiful Michelle surrounded by this blue aura, which is fantastic. Now, Michelle, where are you at the moment? Where are you calling from?
I'm calling in from Egypt at the moment. I'm on the Red Sea. So outside of my window over here on the right, I can literally see the Red Sea. And it's absolutely gorgeous, beautiful sunny day here.
Fantastic. For how long have you been in Egypt now?
I actually have moved back to Egypt. I came here about 12 years ago. I moved back to Egypt in April this year from Greece, where I'd been for about 4 or 5 years.
So you like traveling? Does it feel
I
like
love traveling. It's my life. It's my passion. It's everything to me.
So we're going to talk in this interview about creating a location-independent business. So guys, particularly if you're running something which is location-dependent, like myself as a speaker, or maybe you have a more traditional kind of business and you want to say, you know what? I want to have the freedom to travel and be wherever I want. That's the interview for you. But Michelle, where has been the most exciting place you've ever been to?
The most exciting place, well, it has to be Egypt, because I actually came full circle, like sort of semi around the world, and I decided that I wanted to create my sort of long-term base here. So I would have to say it's Egypt. There's something very magical about this place, just generally the Middle East. But I mean, another place I would say definitely has captured my heart is Indonesia. Bali, which I went to last year, and also India. I really liked India, around the Himalayas area and things like that. So I can never really pinpoint one because it's so many.
So you moved to Egypt. Why Egypt? So never been to Egypt. So what's exciting about Egypt?
Okay, well, it's obviously steeped in history, and the whole like oldest civilization thing does get me a lot. But I remember I came here when I was 23 years old. It was the day before my 24th birthday. I had a one-way ticket here from England, and I had no idea what I was going to do once I decided to get here. So Egypt was really the start of my location independence. It was the start of my freedom, and it was the place where I actually started my business, just as a single girl wanting to travel and things like that. So for me, it has a lot of sentimental value, I suppose, but it also has a lot of spiritual value. It's a very, very special place in terms of like spirituality and the location in the world. So it's got a lot to offer, I think, for me anyway.
Well, I'll tell you a secret. I think no one knows this, but when I was a child, I was obsessed by Egypt. Absolutely obsessed. In fact, it's in my holiday plan and come or next year or the year after. And I remember I was about 6 or 7 years old, and I bought this book where we was teaching how to read the hieroglyphics. Wow. And my mom then bought me these clay tablets, and I was spending my evenings for hours writing hieroglyphics on these clay tablets, putting them in the oven. And so for a few years, my house was just like completely plastered by clay tablets where there were hieroglyphics on top of that. So it's something that has been one of my weird fetish and obsessions at an early age, and I'm really no one knows that. So guys, you're in the secret.
You definitely have to come here. You have to go to Karnak Temple. You have to see the pyramids. You have to do the whole thing, because it's really amazing. And even if you have a slight interest in it before you arrive, like the people who have no interest in it before they arrive are like, oh my god, this is amazing, I wish I'd come here before. So for somebody like you, I think
give me a documentary about Egypt. I'm there. Pyramids oh my god, is my I love Greek, Egyptian gods. It is amazing. But enough about me. People will get bored to hear too much about me. They're here to hear about you. And so you said you left at 23 from England.
Yeah.
Where were you based?
All over, actually. When I left in England, or United Kingdom. I was actually living just outside of Cardiff in Wales.
Right. Yeah.
But I was born in Milton Keynes. I spent most of my young childhood in Oxford. And then I went down to the south. I actually spent my secondary school education in Bognor Regis, and sort of I moved around the Brighton area and back up to Oxford. I bounced around all over the place.
So traveling and location dependence it looks like it's a theme in your life. It's not just something you developed at the age of 23. So
yeah.
What made you say, I want to create a location dependent business? When was the moment?
It was the moment where, because when I did this move, I did it very cold turkey. I mean, like literally one day my house was robbed and I found my passport on the floor in an office, which was completely empty. So I just kind of like took that as a sign that it was time for me to make a change in my life. I wasn't happy in my job. I was in finance. I was doing a commute. I had a lot of bills to pay. I had a huge mortgage over my head. And I just decided one day I'm going to go in, I'm going to quit my job. I walked down to the estate agent. I put my house on the market the same day. And then I walked to the travel agent and I booked a one-way ticket to Egypt the same day for exactly 3 months later. So I had that 3 months to kind of gather my thoughts, gather my things and move. And as soon as I landed in Egypt, as soon as I realized I was free of all that stuff that bogs you down, of all that kind of noise of, you know, like all the bills and all that was the moment when I said, this is the life for me. I never want to go back to the UK. I never want to have to go back to the UK. And that was really the moment. I would say it was in the first few days of being in Egypt, and I remember looking out over the Nile and just thinking, I don't want to leave, and what the hell am I going to do to make sure I stay, or to be able to move somewhere else? And that was kind of like the birth of knowing that I had to do something online or something on the internet in order to sustain this lifestyle.
And what was your first business that you set up when the very first one that you set up when when you moved there?
The very, very first one, because I knew nothing about working online. I knew nothing about the internet. To me, it was like AOL chat and things like that. And this was before social media and all of this stuff. It was even before location independence was a thing. I was the only kind of one doing it that I knew of. But I literally thought, what can I do? So I knew that there was this thing online called eBay where you could sell stuff. And I bought a few things on eBay. So I went to a local bazaar. I took photos of all their rugs and I just put them all on eBay. And that was my first internet business. And I did sell some rugs. I did make some money from that. I know, it was quite amazing. But I knew it wasn't a good long-term thing. Shipping from Egypt was quite expensive. I didn't particularly enjoy it, but it was gonna keep me running until I found something else.
And then what did you find? What was the next thing you found?
The next thing I found was actually a guy working online called Yarrow Starrick, who had been doing this kind of online blogging marketing thing, and I found his stuff really amazing. And I started to think, I want to go into the more entrepreneurial side of working online, but I don't want to go into the blogging and so much at that stage. So I decided, well, like what I needed to do was think about all my skills, think about everything that I was able to do, and then figure out a way to translate that online. And that's when I found virtual assistants. A lot of it back then was mobile assistants. It was, like 13 years ago. So people would kind of like go to people's houses or go to people's offices and work remotely from a location. And I wanted to really take that a stretch further and be able to develop that from my flat in Luxor. So I started just basically learning the skills to be able to create a virtual assistant business. And I'm talking about, like, I would immerse myself into email management, calendar management, learning Photoshop, learning Dreamweaver, learning Microsoft Project. Everything I could think of. I was like, if I can do it online, I want to know it. I want to learn it. So that was pretty much where I was at. It was just like a whole plethora of various skills development to be able to try and do something remotely. And it did pay off.
And fast forward to now, what is your core business right now?
So my business is divided. So I spent many years doing servicing clients online. So I was doing a lot of the admin, a lot of the marketing skills that occurred. I remember when social media came on the scene. So I've kind of like developed my business through it, servicing clients online. Primarily, I work with 6 and 7-figure businesses doing the whole kind of digital operations side, operations management of the business. So people can come to me. I have a team now of 20 people, and we actually run their entire businesses or online operations over the internet for these people. So that's one part of it, but I also do a lot of training now. So I also actually teach people how to create location independent businesses. I teach people how to do it, not just from providing services online, but also creating digital products and programs, because there's always something that's more suited. Some people like to really be in person. Some people prefer to have the more scalable models. Sometimes we do a bit of both for people.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll either service the people or I will teach people how to do it. And I have an academy now, which is where I create my programs and courses.
This is brilliant. So now that we know about you, Michelle, let's explore the location, how to create a location-independent business. And in particular, starting from the point of view of someone that already has a business which is local. Let's say someone is an expert, he has consulting clients that is already, he needs to go into a location, needs to go and see them. Maybe it can be a corporate, or maybe like myself, I'm running 200 bloody events a year. They all happen in London. So what can someone do that is already running a location-dependent business to make it more location-independent?
Well, the way I like to always approach this, particularly from a consulting angle, is like translating a language. Okay, so if you're speaking English, you can translate that language into Greek. And it's the same with working online. So if you have an offline business, it's simply a case of looking at it, reviewing it, brainstorming it, thinking, how can I translate this into an online business? And there are various ways that people can do that. So for a start, obviously, if you have to be physically present at places, there's nothing that we can do to stop you from actually needing to be physically present. But what we can do is start translating your skills and your expertise and your energy into something that can be sold online, whether that be coaching services online, whether that be, rather than doing in-person meetings, you start doing webinars, whether you start doing group masterminds online, whether you use an application like Zoom, that type of thing. So we start to think, right, how can we make whatever you do a little bit more location independent based on the things that you're doing right now? Then we can start looking at exploring other areas. So can we start providing services online instead of in person? Can we start doing programs and courses online instead of teaching in person? That type of thing. And it's basically just like, how are we going to translate what you do into something that is remote, that is virtual, that doesn't require your physical presence? And most of the things, obviously, if you're a hairdresser, like, you can't cut people's hair online, but you can show people different styles and like video different styles online, and like provide some sort of program or course that helps people to style their hair online, that type of thing. So it's all about figuring out what it is we can do to make that more remote.
And so it feels like you're talking about a period of transition. So it's not saying, go give up whatever you're doing. Say, okay, now think about how can you also put an online spill to to the service that you sell. And I think that right now, there is nothing that can't be done. I mean, that can completely avoid the online world. For example, my main thing is to get people to my events. But the way I market to get people to the events is doing online marketing.
So you can also host the events online. I
do webinars, I have a membership site. I have all my online products, make good money from there. But my passion is getting people to live events. But the fact is that the online component needs always to be there. Wherever you are, you need to be online anyway. So having that extra will help you add an additional stream of income. And also then at some point, I think you can decide, what do you want to do? Do you still want to have your location dependent business, or give it up and then just do the other part while it's working.
Yeah.
So the
And
question,
what you're talking about there is, sorry, it's just something that comes to mind, is you're talking about this transition. You're talking about basically setting yourself up. So if it does come, so you can be location dependent, but if there does come a time when you say, you know what, I don't want to do these offline gigs anymore, you've already made the transition. You already have other income streams available to you. You've already expanded the business in that direction. So you could essentially say, now I don't want to do the in-person stuff. And I know I've worked with clients who have been very much in person and have done that gradual transition and have set themselves up because they know the time is coming where they don't want to be running from one event to the other, or one location or one venue and things like that. They know that that's not a long-term sustainable strategy for them. So then they start looking at what they can potentially do online in order to kind of cover their bases. Yeah, is it this choice that is made, is a choice, not a necessity? So if someone becomes, okay, you have the online part, which is working well, you still keep the offline, but it's a choice for you to keep the offline, not a necessity, because otherwise you're not going to eat next month or then you're not going to have the amazing lifestyle that you're already having. I don't know where you are. I think what will be really valuable to discuss, Michelle, right now, and I'm sure you had a lot of experiences in building your online businesses, is the things that people need to be aware of. You know, someone starts and say everything is great, right? I'm a person like this. I'm very naive when I get into things. I always see the positive, and I really struggle as a personality type to predict downfalls. That's why I have people that help me out with that. But if someone wants to start a location independent business, what are the things that they need to be aware in order to make it work? And talking about the scars that you maybe had. Well, this is really good because this falls in line with a concept that I've created, which is called one sourcing. So for me, one sourcing is the operations management, is the big picture of running an online business. Because a lot of people think, well, all I need is to be good at marketing and everything will fall into place. Or all I need is to sell and everything will fall into place. Or all I need is someone to help me, a virtual assistant, and everything will fall into place. So unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. And when you have components missing from your online business, that's when you'll find that you only get so far, or things aren't working as you quite think. So the three components that I generally work with when I work with clients are the systems. So you need to know your systems. You need to have good systems in place. You need to be able to have a functional business, not just something that looks really pretty on the outside but doesn't function in the background. So the first thing is your systems that you need to get really down. The second thing is your strategy, of course. So every online business needs a strategy, it needs a direction, it needs a plan, it needs something in place that says, right, these are the steps we're going to take, these are how we're going to do our launches, these are how we're going to provide our customer support, this is how we're going to make our sales, this is where we're going to take our money. It's all a strategy. This is how we're going to build our list, that type of thing. So you need a really good solid strategy in place, specifically for whatever business it is you're going to create. And then the third thing you need to have is the support in place. So you need to start thinking about, who do I need in order to elevate my business? Okay, do I need some consulting? Do I need some virtual assistants? Do I need somebody to do my marketing or my Facebook ads? What is it that I need in terms of support? And then once you factor those three things in, you've pretty much got your online business. You've covered everything that you need to cover. And it's just a case of rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. For me, online businesses are very much like that. They're very much, you can find your groove. Basically, you can find your groove through your strategy, through tweaking it, and then you basically do those webinars, you do those podcasts, you do those group sessions and things like that, and you just keep doing them repeatedly, and that's how you kind of build it. And also, I would say it's always a really good idea as well to have at least one source of recurring revenue. So you can do your launches for your programs, and like you can do that big thing, or you can do your event, or you can do this, but trying to have like that membership site recurring income built into that as well, so you can end up basically building up your recurring income, and then that's what covers all your costs for the business. That's what covers your team, that's what covers your staff, that's what covers the payment of, like paying for your systems and paying for all these different services that you're going to be using and needing to do that through some sort of recurring membership site is ideal, because then you don't have to worry, and everything else above that is a bonus. Everything else you do from that, you do it because it's fun, because you can make money on top of what you're actually earning already, which is
and when you're creating this kind of membership site, is this still possible from your experience to set it and forget it right now?
No, it's never possible to set and forget a membership site. There always has to be more value added every month. There always has to be more content added every month. So what keeps people paying those recurring subscriptions is the value that they get every month from it. Otherwise, they have no reason to pay it. So you have to consistently be thinking, like, how can I add value? So, like, for example, if you've got a membership site, you might want to add new infographics every month based on a different strategy that you're teaching, or you might want to add monthly coaching calls or something like that. Or you might want to add a class that you teach every month, or you might want to add some sort of small 3-part video series that you want to do every month. Something has to be added in order to keep people paying. And I love this concept of the 1,000 true fans. I don't know whether you've ever heard of it, but there's a concept of this 1,000 true fans, that you can find your 1,000 true fans, then you'll never have to worry again. And that's kind of like what I love to associate with monthly membership sites. It's like, if you want to find your 1,000 true fans, and you want those 1,000 people to pay you a subscription fee every month for taking your program, or for joining your membership site, you've got to consistently be adding new, fresh content and fresh value every month. Even if it's just a call where you give free advice to the people that are paying, or something like that, it's got to be added every month. There's got to be something new there.
I'm glad you said that, because I think that there is a lot of hype online around the membership site. People stick, but if you don't, I'm running a membership site. Man, it's work.
Yes.
Man, it's work. Now, compared to other things, is less work, but you will still need to keep adding content to keep people engaged, to interact with them. And that's also what makes them stay, because you might have a lot of people that will buy, but the recurring income means that they keep paying.
Yes,
and
exactly.
if they don't see the value in staying, click, they cancel.
Exactly.
It's so easy to cancel. They don't even need to tell you anything. So you got to be adding value, as Michelle is saying. I have one more question around your experience in running online businesses. If someone has already a business which is offline, what is the very first thing that they need to put in place to transition online? The very first thing, the very first step.
Do you know, I'm really biased, so I would say find a really good OBM or online operations manager or consultant or someone like that who can help you and make that transition, because having somebody who knows specifically and has the experience specifically of what you're trying to do, it's invaluable to have a consultation with someone, even if it's just an hour. Share your idea with somebody who knows how to run online businesses, because that will be the best investment you'll ever make to start with, particularly if you know nothing. If you're somebody who says, no, I think I've got this, I think I can do this, and I can go out there, I would probably say the first thing is to figure out what product or program, or how you're going to translate your skills into something like a membership site, like a digital program or a digital product. Like, start brainstorming that out and how you're going to create that program, because that will be your first initial steps into being able to actually make money online, which is the overall goal, really. And once you've got that, then it's a bit like reverse engineering back down, like to how you're going to sell it and how you're going to create the business and how you're going to market it and how you're going to build your audience and things like that. Use any resources that you have available to you in order to do that. It's all about building the audience, and then it's about pitching a product at the end to them, and then continuously doing that, continuously building your audience and continuously pitching something towards them at the end, using something like a webinar.
And what did you find? You found your best advice in terms of building audience? Because of course you need to have an online audience. You might have already a pool of clients, and you create this product. Might be logical to sell immediately to your existing clients, and then you're like, okay, but now no one knows me.
I know.
What do I do now? So
Everyone
what
has
do you find if you had to give just one thing that someone can do to build their audience in the most effective way, what would that be?
I would suggest there's a strategy that I'm going to share with you. I'm going to share with you in brief. And it has to be brief because it's quite a comprehensive strategy. But basically, the idea would be, to me, is to have a really good email marketing system. So you can actually take in subscribers, and the goal is to take in subscribers. If you've got no audience whatsoever, you need to use something like Facebook ads in order to do that. Once you take your subscribers in, you need to nurture them through emails. And I'm not talking about like immediately start selling to them. I'm talking about share stories, share things that have happened to you. Be vulnerable. Vulnerability is a big one. And always ask your subscribers through like a campaign, a loyalty campaign where you're sending out an email every couple of days. Always ask people to respond, to reply. Always ask them what they think of what you're saying. Always ask them if they have a better opinion or a different opinion on what you're saying, or had a different experience. And really what you want to do, and the key to really making a lot of sales over the long term, is to get that audience to engage with you. It's to get them to actually respond to you. And for as long as you can possibly do it, always respond back to the people who do, because that's how you build your true fans. That's how you build the people. And always write your emails. This is another tip. If you're going to do this, always write your emails as if you're talking to one single person, as if you're talking to just them. And honestly, that's such a powerful strategy, because people actually respond thinking, I've written that email just for them. Like they're the only person that received it. And they're like, oh, thank you so much. I really needed to hear this today. Or, so it is really important that you focus on engagement. You need the masses, of course, to build the business, but focus only on a single person, as if you're communicating with a single person. It's the best way. And run that through your social media, run that through your Facebook ads, run that through your emails that you send out to people, and you will find those true fans.
I think in particular, applying the strategy of asking them to respond is huge, because a lot of people will get you to click a link. A lot of people, they are used to say, just a meaningless sales message, buy here, buy there.
Yeah.
If you're saying
it doesn't work anymore.
It doesn't work. Thank you. It doesn't work anymore. And but when
it used to, but then people got wise to it, and then everyone started doing it. It's like
I don't know if people got wise to it. I think people got used to it.
Exactly, and everyone started doing it. So the more people are doing it, the more noise is going on, and they're signing up. So you have to take a different tack. You have to do something different. And that's the thing I love about the internet. It's like over the last 13 years, I've seen things come and go. I've seen everyone like, oh my God, this is the next big thing and it's working and let's do it. And then suddenly something pulls the rug. The SEO was one of those things, like Google, Panda, and Penguin.
Evergreen webinars.
Yeah, evergreen webinars. Honestly, it was like, I've seen
everyone was like evergreen webinars. If you see, actually, there are very few people making money with evergreen webinars, and they are spending huge amount of money to get someone to watch the bloody webinar. So all these things that they look great on the outside. Yeah. And so it's really important that you guys, you get yourself educated in what's working right now. Because even if you buy a course that on something that was working last year, things move so fast and audiences get used to things so fast that you're always looking at what else you can do.
And this is why I also offer free updates in all my programs and courses. So I always update my programs and courses, and I always offer the update completely free of charge.
In your membership site?
In my membership sites, all my membership programs, because I'm like, I know in a year's time, whoever bought this program, it's not going to be
relevant anymore.
So I want to give my existing customers the value, and I always take care of my existing customers. That's another really good tip to have, because they're the word of mouth referrals. They're the people who are going to give you the testimonials and continue over the years, for years and years, to tell you you're awesome. And that's really powerful, because when you get people coming in interested in buying your products and programs, and you still see the same people in the communities that left those testimonials, and they're doing new testimonials for the new programs, things like that. It's such a powerful thing to know that these people, this entrepreneur that I want to learn from, is taking care of their customers, and that's another very vital thing.
Very, very powerful. Thank you for sharing, Michelle. Now it's time to go to the next stage of this interview, which is called lifting the veil. Now, in your case, probably will be lifting the Egyptian rug. In your case, where you're going to share something that you are or using in your business, might be a tool, might be a process, might be a system, might be a strategy, and something really specific that makes the difference in the way you run your business, you get clients, you make sales, that can help someone else to say, yes, if you do that, this will work. And this is how I'm using it. Michelle, over to you.
Well, I would definitely say, and we've touched on it a little bit, I would definitely say that webinars is kind of where it's at the moment. Particularly for me, it's what I am using with my existing clients. So basically the strategy is you set up your webinar, you decide that you're going to teach something. Even if you pitch the same product at the end of every webinar, always teach something different in the webinar. So always teach like a 3-step process or a 4-step blueprint, or like something like that, that's going to really give people something very tangible that they can actually use. You pitch something at the end that is related, obviously, roughly to what you've been teaching on that webinar, and you just keep doing that. And I like to do that on a monthly basis. But the most important thing is when monthly basis, using something like Facebook advertising. So I tend to bring people very valuable, which are related to my programs and courses. People can take those blueprints and they can actually use them. They can do something with them. From there, as I host a webinar every month, and I always say on the webinar, at the end of this webinar, you can work that offer, you will still get value from this webinar regardless. And then what you'll find is, like, sometimes people will attend 2, 3, 4 webinars, and then they might not buy it in those webinars. They're on my businesses now.
Right, that's brilliant. So I think we had some issues with the internet, and I hope you guys heard what Michelle said, which was using webinars, getting people on webinars through Facebook ads, and using different topics. And even if you're teaching the same thing, if you're selling the same thing, teach different topics, so then people can come over and over again. And some people just need to go in multiple webinars before they will buy the product. I mean, I got people on my list that have attended more than 4, and I think more than 5 years, that have been opening my emails, that they've been attending my webinars, they've come to my event, and then after 5 years, they said, yes, here's the money, I'm ready to buy. And it took 5 years to convert that client.
I've had the same experience.
So be consistent. Webinars, they work incredibly well. Is something that you can consistently do. And the great thing about webinars is that you can do them wherever you are. Wherever you are, as long as you got a good internet connection, you can do them. Because I had a situation also where I did webinars where my internet connection wasn't great. And that didn't work very well.
We've all been there.
We've all been there when you're like, we cannot hear, we cannot see, I'm sorry.
Oh, and also this is another good point about what I was going back to earlier about getting good systems in place. Because if you in like internet connection is one thing, but also if you don't have a good functional working system, like for webinars or something like that, I use Crowdcast, which I really like.
Right.
I used Webinar Jam for the longest time, and then they did some technical changes to the system, which meant it was really difficult for me to use. People were having problems, issues, that type of thing. Immediately, I moved over to Crowdcast. So that's another thing about having, somebody good who is able to sort of work through systems with you, and you're able to use them really effectively as well.
So I'm using Webinar Jam so far, not having problem, but it requires, it takes a lot of bandwidth.
Yes, it does.
Webinar Jam takes a huge amount of, so if you don't have a fiber optic, it can become a very painful experience to run.
Or you have to go really low definition if you don't, and then the quality is not good and things like that. So particularly for people who are location independent. If you're in the middle of Thailand on some strange island, like trying to make it work, sometimes it can be very difficult. So although Webinar Jam doesn't necessarily have to be a bad system, it can be a bad system for you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You will have, there are a lot of systems. There is a GoToWebinar. There is also Zoom webinars that they are taking over right now. So there are hundreds of webinar systems you can use. And I think it's also a matter of finding with the one that works the best for you in terms of complexity, integration with your campaigns. And the more experience you become, then the better you will be able to identify that system. Or as Michelle said, just hire Michelle. She will sort you out. Now, Michelle, it's time to wrap up. It's been a great interview. I loved it. I had fun. And if people want to reach out to you, how can they get in touch with you, and what do you have for them?
Okay, well, I think the blueprints that I mentioned before are really good. So I have basically like 6 blueprints that you can go and take away. Some are for setting up a service business, some are for setting up a freelance business, for setting up a digital product business, that type of thing. So it's all about finding the right entry point in becoming a location independent. So I think those blueprints will be really helpful. You can find those at virtualmissfriday.com/academy, and then you can go inside there. And if you're not quite sure, like which one is for me, where should I be going with this, how should I be starting my location independent business, just email support@virtualmissfriday.com, and either myself or one of my team will be able to help guide you in the right direction. Just tell us a little bit about you, what you do right now, what you're looking to achieve, and then we'll be able to help guide you in the right direction there.
So it's virtualmissfriday.com and support@virtualmissfriday.com. Fantastic. Brilliant. Michelle, thank you very much for being on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much.
I wish you a fantastic day.
You too. Take care.
Take care. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening or watching, or maybe read the transcript. Who knows where you're consuming this wonderful content, but make sure you subscribe. So if it's on YouTube, subscribe on our YouTube channel. If it's on podcast, subscribe on our podcast. If it's on our blog, sign up to our blog. Do whatever you can. And in particular, if you're listening on our podcast, then leave us a 5-star review. I really appreciate it. And make sure that this incredible information gets spread even wider. And of course, Michelle will love many more people to listen to this show. So please don't do it for me, do it for Michelle, right? I really appreciate it. And as well, remember that up until next episode, together we grow exponentially. Ciao.